Hello, and welcome to the Reality Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcast. As always, I'm here with Mac Taylor, and we are back today to talk about last night's edition of Big Brother Canada 9. Yes, I'm very excited, first of all, to be talking about more Big Brother Canada, as well as just overall, just really happy to be talking to anything with you guys. You know, the fact that we're getting any reality TV, the world's still a crazy, unpredictable place right now, and it's nice just to have something new on the screen. So we're going to talk about all the stuff leading up to the veto, who won the veto, how it's used, and then later we'll get into some spoiler talk, which I will, of course, let you know, so you can hop out if you don't want that. And then also going to do best game, worst game, which is something I'm bringing back. I used to do a while ago. Kind of fell out of doing it, but I'm getting back into it. Talking about, at this stage in the game, who I feel, in my own personal opinion, is playing the best game, all the way down to who is playing the worst game heading into tomorrow night, now tonight's eviction. So we start off, Josh not surprised to be on the block, which he should not be surprised by this. He's really been isolated by the rest of the house. No one really wants to work with him, yet alone really be around him. And it's starting, you got to know when you're in that spot that even if you survive this week, you're going to keep going up. Like, there's not a whole lot of room for Josh to wiggle. Meanwhile, Kiefer feels good being next to Josh because, being on the block sucks no matter what. But if you're going to be next to somebody, Josh is probably the best avenue to be next to. Meanwhile, Austin wants an easy week. And this, I talked last time about this. It's very frustrating. Austin is the first HOH. Yes, we had a brief week of, team nom shenanigans. But still, you're setting the tone for the season with your first HOH. And you should use that first HOH to really cement your place in the house. And Austin failed to do that. She laid back most of the week. She only really talked to Braydon and Beth and people she just felt, she would hang out with in her normal life. And she didn't really use the HOH, use being saved for the week to really take some risks of being just talking to people. I'm not saying you have to make a flashy move. You probably shouldn't try to make a big flashy game move with the first HOH. You're just trying to give yourself the best because you're not going to be safe next week, but also you don't know if you'll ever be HOH again. You need to make sure that you use this week to not only get somebody out, but to really set up the game to where you're not going to go home. And I feel like she really failed to do that. She just dropped the ball, let a bunch of things happen, and now is in a bad spot moving forward. We finally, on the show proper, get the Sunsetters Alliance revealed, which has been going on the whole game. They've been running the whole game. And that is Latoya, Jed, Ty, Kiefer, Tina, and Beth. Tina's glad to be under the radar because we've seen a lot on the feeds of Tina is the unassuming person that is going around playing a lot of different sides of the house. She's making a lot of things happen for her. Really, how Austin should be handling this week is how Tina's been handling this week, of just making connections, not really being super threatening, and just overall just like spreading the seed around, trying to build a foundation to build the rest of the game on. She's been a very proactive player instead of a reactive player like Austin has been. Meanwhile, Austin is reassuring Kiefer that Josh is going to go home. Even though originally her target was Kiefer. They don't show this in the episode, but her target was Kiefer. But she kind of gets talked out of it because, again, she's a very reactive person and she's not doing good with her power this week. And Josh knows he has to fight for votes. He knows that this is not going to be easy. And Kiefer's trying to plant the seed with Austin of, hey, if, I win the veto or Josh wins it, like Rohan should go up. So he's really trying to keep the target off of the rest of the Sunsetters, being Jed and Latoya, the only other Sunsetters available for eviction this week, because we know Austin is not going to put Braydon up. And he wants to win the POV. Josh does, and he wants to gloat about it, which is not great. Because if you do win the veto and you are safe this week, you need to try to get some sort of momentum going. It's going to be extremely difficult, but you gotta try. You gotta try to. And I'm not saying Josh hasn't tried to build relationships and foundations, but like definitely if you're safe and they know you're not going home, you need to kind of not rub their noses in it. But I understand you could feel that internally 100% because he should. Like if he does win the veto, yes, you earned it. Beth, meanwhile, she's with the Sunsetters, but she's also in with Austin and Braydon in this like Dolls version 2. So she's in a decent spot. However, we'll talk about in the spoiler section some other stuff Beth's been doing that's maybe not so great for her game. She's also trying to showmance Ty, but she hasn't like let things escalate with Ty all that much. But like also she's been flirting with Jedson. And again, that's not great. You can flirt with all the guys, but not so great to be like kind of showmancing two friends. Because they could just easily be like drop their like if it's hard to pit them against each other. They could just drop her and all the tension to be done for their games. Not saying that it couldn't go her way, but she hasn't really admitted this is for gameplay. I just think she's genuinely attracted to both of these guys. So we'll see how that kind of progresses in the future. And then we get this rap. Why does everyone have to rap on reality TV shows? Although this one was well done as far as like it kept the beat and nobody really. I guess Beth was the only one that had like a weak one about having bad breath. Like she was the only one that had one that was like, yeah, okay, maybe not so great. But still, why is that a thing on all reality TV shows? Everyone feels the need to rap in some fashion. I don't know. So we get the veto, which is it's sticking with the 5 people and that the HOH doesn't play veto. This, of course, started in Big Brother Canada 7, and they've kept that format with the veto, which I'm okay with that, but it kind of takes away the HOH's opportunity to get the veto. And I'm okay with having 5 players, but like let the HOH play and just only have 2 drawn names. I feel like that would be better, but nevertheless, they're sticking with this. It's an interesting thing that only Canada does. So the people draw, obviously Kiefer and Josh are playing as the noms, and Victoria, Tara, and Josh gets the choice, and he picks Tina, thinking that he can beat her in most facets of competition. And everyone's worried about Josh winning the power veto because, he is the target. And even though we'll talk about, in the later section about what may or may not be the case here, no one wants Josh to take himself off because they don't want to have to put up someone next to Kiefer, and Kiefer will probably go home. The Sunsetters don't want to lose a number so early. So they reveal the ball pit have-not room. So the have-not room, you have to sleep in a ball pit, which is not ideal because you just kind of sink. It's hard to sleep. You have to go up against in a corner and kind of just hope to fall asleep, I guess. It's not a great... I mean, it's fun to just go in and have fun in, but it's not an ideal place to spend the night. And everyone's especially Victoria is loving it, living for the ball pit. In Latoya, it cuts to her, and she just has this she's having none of it. She just has this what is this face? And it was pure gold to see Victoria a literal child in this thing, and then you cut to Latoya, who's just I'm not into this. It was a fun editing choice. So we get the don't upset the apple cart veto, which first of all, way too long of a name. You couldn't call it the apple stacker veto or the apple cart veto, where it's you shouldn't have a full sentence as the name for the veto comp. And Beth is hosting dressed as an apple. Basically, the goal with this competition is to stack the most. You have to go back and forth on this little track and stack apples and try not to have them knock off, and then you lock in when you think you have a number that no one can beat. And it's a 30-minute time limit to do so. And Tara is so small. Like, she's a fit person, but she's so tiny that it's hard for her to, like, see over the cart and, like, maneuver it. Like, she's not in a great spot to do well in this veto because of her stature. And Vic is throwing the veto because she doesn't need to win it. And also, like, she won the first competition of the season, and she's trying because she has such a bubbly, goofy personality that as long as she doesn't beast out comps when she doesn't need to, no one's really going to see her as the comp threat. And I like that choice of her to be like, I don't want that on me. Like, I just play up my bubbly side, which is great. Josh, he builds the stack by where the apples are and isn't gonna, like, try to duplicate that. A little bit of an odd choice, but I kind of understand what he's trying to do. Not 100%. He's like, I'm gonna put this stack here. I gotta be one with the apples, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe this wasn't especially with what we'll talk about later. I think he should have hurried up a little bit. Kiefer is in a good spot, and he's like waiting to see if anyone's catching up to him. But Josh is, making some progress. And again, if he had taken a little less time being at one with the apples per se, he probably could have won this thing. So everyone's also cheering against Josh, which is not great. Definitely tells Josh where he's at. I'm not saying it matters that he knows where he's at, but a little mean-spirited. And he goes for broke here at the end, even though time's ticking down. So we get Tara in 5th place with 17. Victoria in 4th with 20. Tina and Josh tied, and it doesn't say what number they have, but it's over 20 and under 31. Because with 31, Kiefer wins the first power of veto. Everyone celebrates, and Josh he's like, okay, well, the veto plan is not gonna work, so I'm gonna have to figure out another way to maneuver. And so, not looking good for him. Rohan knows he's probably going to go up. But him and Tara talk about maybe pitching Jed going up, because no one's going to vote out Jed, even though they probably should. So he pitches it to Austin, who just turns it down. And I agree with her not wanting to put Jed up, because if you're going to target Jed, Josh is not the person for him to be up against. If you wanted Jed out or a strong player out, you should have put Jed and Latoya up against each other. And then if the veto is used, throw up Kiefer. But if you were going to take the shot, you got to take the full shot. So I understand her not wanting to do this because it's too late to do this. So she has a good read on that part. Meanwhile, Victoria is playing foosball by herself. So Victoria's gameplay leaves a lot to be desired, but she has great just television moments. She's television gold. Even just playing a game by herself, because she's so energized and so psyched and just giddy that you feel that way with her. So I'm really enjoying having Victoria on my screen, but I'm not feeling so great about her chances to win the game. So Josh is like talking to Kyle about how he wants to, if he stays, he's gonna go after Braydon and Austin, and he's pitching his ass off, and Kyle has none of it, shrugs it off, is like, yeah, good try, man. So really gets shot down here by replacement Kyle. But to Josh's credit, he's trying everything. A lot of people who find themselves in the spot of like 100% probably going to go home they just give up. Josh doesn't give up. He's throwing everything at the wall, hoping something will stick. This is part of the reason why he stayed over Julie. Granted, Latoya flipping the vote was a big part of it, but, Josh never gives up. So, yeah, I will applaud him for that. So Tara then brings the Jed plane up to Austin, and again, no dice. Because Tara's got a good idea in going after Jed, but this is not the right time to bring it up. In fact, you should probably only entertain this idea if you or someone close to you wins HOH. Like right now, the replacement nom is not the time. Because while a backdoor would be great, we don't have the votes. You need to make sure you got the votes so that the shot is taken. Again, if you put Jed up against like Latoya, or like later if the team's dissolved, you put up like Jed and Ty, then yeah, like, one of them's going to go. But like up against Josh, there's not a lot of people that are going to go home. So, not a great plan. I know she's trying to save Rohan, but it's especially for Tara. Like Rohan throwing anyone's name up makes a lot of sense. You can't fault him for trying to stay off the block. But Tara, she's kind of sticking her neck out for something that's really unnecessary. And Austin even entertains like a Latoya backdoor to Braydon, but again, like they don't have the votes for that. So it would have been she doesn't ultimately do this, but it would have been a very bad idea. And her and Braydon, again, they've played very relaxed and have not really made great avenues in the game. So Kiefer vetoes himself, obviously, and Rohan goes up as a replacement. So all of that work was literally for nothing. Nothing changed. So now we're going to get into some spoiler talk. So if you do not want me to talk about the feeds or, spoilers, go ahead and hop out now. You've been warned. The spoiler talk starts right now. So apparently, even though Josh has been kind of the target, we've had a couple of flip-flops. Like, they're like, maybe we'd go after Rohan. But, Tina, kind of talks everybody out of it. Latoya kind of is part of... Tina's able to kind of manipulate Latoya to not do it. And it doesn't seem like they had the votes. There was a big house meeting called because Jed got mad that Josh had said his name. And there was a big blow up there. And again, even up to right now, I don't know who's... Josh is probably going home. But it's... With this house, everyone is just so wishy-washy right now. Rohan could go. But I would prefer Josh go so that we can have the Kyle and Ro contingency against the Sunsetters and, see what happens throughout that. Because if Josh doesn't go home tonight, he's going to go home either next week or the week after. Like say if the teams were in place and the Defenders won, he's obviously not going home. But as soon as the next available option for Josh to go home is presented, he's probably going home. So you always root for the underdog, but as far as an entertaining season goes, Josh needs to go for something new to partake. So I love Josh. I would probably be good friends with Josh if I were to meet him in person. But I just, for the entertainment value of this season, Josh got to go. And I want to see what Rohan has to offer this season because of this team twist, he's been in trouble when he necessarily probably wouldn't have been. Because the Sunsetters have talked about they would prefer to take out Kyle, but due to how everything is set up right now, Kyle's not an option. Rohan is. So I really hope Josh goes just for a more entertaining season to be presented. Other than that, not a whole lot. Oh, Beth has been, showmancing the boys, and that's not great for her game. But also, she has also thrown out that the boys are with Latoya to a lot of people. So not a lot of people trust Beth, and she is at the bottom. So while she has she's at the bottom of the Sunsetters, probably for certain. So if I know she has the Austin side, and she has multiple avenues of which to work with people. But I don't see, this could very easily blow up in her face. So she is positioned either to do really well or for shit to go very wrong within the next few weeks. So now we're going to do best game, worst game, talk about who I think is playing the best game, all the way down to who I think is playing the worst game. And I think the worst game should be no surprise, but we'll start from the top and go to the bottom. Number 1, the person I think is playing the best game of the season right now is Tina. And I tossed between 1 and 2, but I'm giving it to Tina because she's unassuming. No one's thinking she's going to beast out in comps. No one's thinking she's going to make all these connections. But she's made great connections with Latoya and most of the house. She has all of the Sunsetters, obviously. She's made pretty good avenues with just about everybody, including the Kyle and Rohan contingency, because Latoya was pitched working with Kyle and Rohan by the duo, and she didn't do it. She turned it down. Whereas Tina left that avenue open because that's how you play the game. Tina, I'm so glad she's here. And I know it's early to say she's playing so well, but, if she can continue in this avenue, she could be like a Derek or like a Dan Giesling and just run the game and completely dominate it. And to see an older female play this way and it be successful, I'm all for it. I'm living for it. I need more of it. At number 2, I'm going to put Tashawn or Ty. The only reason I put him below Tina, a lot of people put him above Tina because he has the ability to win competitions, but he is more of a visible threat than Tina for that reason. He's a great looking guy. He's in shape. He's probably going to do well at competitions, and that's going to be a target later. People don't want to take Ty to the end. Nope, everyone, Tina can kind of lay low. It's hard for Ty to lay low. And compared to Jed, the reason why he gets the bump is that he's a lot more calm and his decision-making skills are a little better. I think people love Ty more than Jed because Jed, from the house meeting, Jed had a temper with it. Ty doesn't. And for that reason, Ty, I think he's in a great spot. And if he is not stopped or right around, early to mid-jury, he could make a run for the game. I'm not saying it's impossible for him to win. In fact, there's a great chance he can win. But I think that Tina is playing this a little harder than Ty. Number 3 will be Jed. The house meeting didn't make him look so good. But like Ty, they've made the same connections. Everyone loves Jed. And for people to not target this guy who's probably going to do well in competition speaks volumes about his social game. He's playing rather well, and as long as this Beth stuff doesn't get messy between him and Ty, I feel like he's going to make a deep run. At number 4, I'm having Latoya. I bounced back and forth on it because she is kind of the figurehead of the boys. Whereas I thought earlier, I'm like, wow, she's got these 2 meat shields. She's going to go far. I feel like people would take out Latoya before Jed or Ty. And that is because she is, she doesn't lie, which is not great. Like the whole thing with Julie where she's like, yeah, I'm just not doing this right now because she couldn't lie. That's going to bite her in the ass. And I just feel like she's going to be like, if whoever, the first big move of the season against the Sunsetters is going to be to take out Latoya. I know she's one of my winner picks. I love her. I think she is great, but I'm foreseeing some stuff blowing up. And because she is so team oriented, as soon as the Sunsetters is going to be dissolved, she's going to be the reason it's gone. At number 5, I have Beth. And if she wasn't, throwing up Latoya and the boys and doing this whole showman's thing, if she was just playing the sides, I'd have her above Jed and Latoya. But, she has 2 avenues in the game. Either it's going to blow up and she's going to go out like early jury, or she's going to make a deep-ass run and may even win it herself. She's not ruled out. She's got a lot of great things going for her, but she has some things that aren't so great happening with her game as well. Number 6/7 are Kyle and Rohan. Now, the reason why Rohan is number 7, because there is a chance he goes home tonight. And also, because of the way the teams are set up, until, it's an individual game, he's in danger because there's not a lot of defenders left, and he's the one that's going to be taken out if one of them's going to be taken out. So, things aren't looking great for Rohan immediately, but if he can make it to the individual segment, because they would rather take out Kyle. And if him and Kyle make, the individual part of the game themselves, Kyle's going home and Rohan's going to make a better run. But the reason Kyle gets the bump above him, because of the team situation, Kyle's in a better spot. And if Rohan does go, Kyle's in an even better spot because he's a free agent to pick up and use. I think they're playing well, but I think Kyle's playing a little sloppier, talking about how much of a fan he is. Because it's very easy for a guy that looks like replacement Kyle to act like a total goof, like the Tyler route, act like a fucking idiot. And this goofy, fun-loving guy that people can string along, but no, he's talking about like how much like he has this Big Brother camping thing he plays and how he makes these moves, these crazy moves. People don't want to work with that. So, it'd be like me going into the house. I'm not going to talk about, I podcast about Big Brother and Survivor and strategy. And, I've played some little IRLs and things like that. And like, I'm super into these type of shows. And I'm like, here's my plans. Like, no, you don't talk about that. Like, it's so easy for him to play the goof, and he's not doing that. And I would have him lower if Rohan wasn't in the spot he was in. At number 8, I got Kiefer. Of the Sunsetters, he's the one in the worst spot because he's expendable. Even though he won POV this week, he's already been on the block. It's easy to put him back up. And if the Sunsetters are going to lose one of their own, they'd probably lose Kiefer because he's the older guy. I don't think they respect him as much as they do the rest of them. And he's just someone they can kind of throw aside and just bring, like, say Rohan goes, then if Kiefer goes, they'll just bring in Kyle. So, Kiefer's my boy. He's my other pick. But things aren't looking great. They're not looking bad. If the Sunsetters keep control, he makes it far. But I don't see a lot of avenues where Kiefer wins. There may be one. It's like the Doctor Strange thing in Infinity War. There may only be, there's a million ways this game could go, and I think only one of them would have Kiefer win. And will that one be this one that we live? I don't know, but I'm looking forward to see how Kiefer's game progresses as we move forward. Number 9 is Victoria. I actually debated putting her above Kiefer, but Victoria has not done a lot. She's tried to make some alliances, but almost and there's a bunch of side deals and things like that going on, and Victoria's not really in any of them. She's just kind of out there. She's a big fan of the game. She's thrilled to be there. I love seeing people want to be there. Also, she's has such a magnetized personality. You want to be around her. You want to gravitate toward her. She's a gem. It's a great story, but I don't know if the way this game is going to be played this season, if she's going to be able to survive. At number 10, I have Braydon. I expected a lot more from Braydon coming into this game, but he is just clueless to everything that's happening around him. He thinks that his alliance with Austin is going to be enough, and it's not. Because if the defenders are on the losing end of the next HOH of the teams are still in effect, and, say Tina wins HOH, there's a good chance that Braydon or Victoria go home, but particularly Braydon, not Victoria, but there's a good chance that Braydon goes home. If Josh is not there, because he's really only in with Austin and Beth, but Beth obviously couldn't care less. And, Austin's not in a good spot. So, he's really like, he's not in a good spot, doesn't have a lot of avenues, and unless he wins HOH or does something crazy, I don't see him making jury. Next is Austin. Now, before her HOH, I thought Austin was going to do really well, and I'm not saying she can't do really well. But goddamn, she dropped the ball with this HOH this week. She, in fact, made it worse off because now where no one was probably going to come for her, there's a few people who win HOH next week. Austin's probably going up, and if she's on the block come eviction, she's definitely going home. She should have laid lower. She probably shouldn't have won HOH. Should have let, Destiny bite the bullet, and they probably would have sent home someone like a Vic or a Tara But instead, Austin has made herself a little bit of a target and has gained literally nothing. She did the Sunsetters work for them and is now going to pay the price for doing that. So she was manipulated, and now she's probably, I don't think she makes jury. Next is Tara. I think Tara will go for a while in this game, but it's like she started playing way too late. Like, she's now trying to make alliances and make big moves, but the alliances are already made. The game plans are already in motion, and she's just out there in the ocean floating around. The only reason she has a good spot is because of Tina and Toya wanting to keep her around. She has some ins, but she's not going to have any information. They're just going to string her along, and then when they don't need her anymore, they'll get rid of her. Or if one of them wants to take her to the end because they're going to very easily beat her because she has made no moves in the game, those are the only real options. I don't see hardly any options where she wins the game because as of right now, she's trying. She's out there struggling, but she's going underwater. And of course, the worst game right now is Josh, and because he has nobody. Like, Josh's best case scenario is going home within the next couple of weeks. But his probable scenario is he's going home tonight. And I'm sad to see him go, but like there's just nothing left to do here. And instead of just beating the dead horse of putting Josh up and probably sending him home, let's just get it over with. Let him go home. Let him have some brewskis. I'd love to get to know the guy, but this is not his season. This is not his game. It is not working. And, I just rather see it done now. Snuff the torch. Let's let the actual game progress. So, guys, that's going to end the discussion on the veto edition of Big Brother Canada 9. Be on the lookout tomorrow for my discussion on tonight's eviction. Will Josh or Rohan go home? Or Rohan, I am so sorry if I say your name wrong, brother. I'm trying. I probably should just say Ro, because that's what most of them call you anyway. But is Ro or Josh going to go? Probably going to be Josh. We'll find out tonight. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification for all my podcasts and videos. I'm Mac Taylor. Until next time, stay safe and stay nerdy.